Welcome, everybody, to the Empower AI Agents Unleashed, Real AI, Real Impact, Smart Business. Today, I'm going to be speaking to Debbie from the Relationship Phoenix. We have been working together, I don't know how many years now. It must be a few, Debbie.
Oh, yeah, we're nearly 2 years, aren't we, since we
Yeah,
first started?
yeah. So just let people have a little bit of flavor of what it is that you do.
So, as a relationship phoenix, I actually coach people in how to find themselves, to have a better relationship with themselves, and then, create better relationships all around them. Their relationships with money, their relationships with health, their relationships with other people. And my niche is family breakdown. Um, I work with people who have been alienated in family situations or estranged in family situations. So they're quite unique relationships that need more in-depth support to actually understand that it's not all about you.
Fabulous and very well needed, I would have thought as well. There's just so much. It,
Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it, when you start speaking to people, what their, what their lived experience is and how that impacts on the whole family. Everybody
hugely,
seems to miss out.
hugely. Alienation and estrangement affects over 30% of the world, and that's a figure coming from 2018.
Wow.
So I'm from my own personal experience, from the people I work with, from the people I engage with within in the communities, I would say it's nearer 45, maybe nearer 50%, because it doesn't just impact the parents, it impacts the grandparents, it impacts the aunts and uncles, it impacts the cousins. So it has a far-reaching, um, it's like water flowing. It just keeps going until it stops. And when I started to experience this and I actually sat down and worked out how many people were impacted by what had happened through my divorce, there were 13 people that are missing from my daughter's life, immediate people that were missing from my daughter's life, all of a sudden overnight had just been shut down. Well, if you times that by several children in a family, that's a lot of disconnect and it has a massive societal impact.
Yeah, I can imagine it's not. I'm just mental health popped into my head then. And I was just thinking it
Yes.
can't be good long term in terms of just the people who are the closest and actually the individual who's been estranged. So is that right? I'm not sure that's
Yeah.
right. Right.
Well, there's estrangement and there's alienation.
Right.
Estrangement is the choice made by the person to come
Right.
away from another person. But alienation is when the adult is separating the child from their mother or father, their grandparents, and that's a completely different matter because that's where the child has no say in what goes on. And that can be from birth or it can be through, young years, depending on how the adult relationship is in the first place. So there are two very distinct parts to it. One is by choice, one is not by choice. And the
Yeah.
one that's not by choice, I would say, is marginally more destructive because it isn't just the adults that are being impacted by the loss of the relationship. It's the children that are being impacted that don't have a voice to speak up about the loss of relationship. And of course, they're then internalizing what's wrong with me? Why don't I count? Why doesn't Nanny and Granddad love me anymore? Why can't I play with my cousins? And actually, this happens to some siblings as well, especially in same-sex marriages or relationships where they've carried, they've both carried a child. If they're women, they've both carried a child, but they latch on to the one child as theirs, and the other child is now no longer anything to do with them. So that's massive. It has a big impact because, of course, then it's siblings being separated for no good reason, then they may be different donors
That's
originally. because they're nothing to do with that particular person because they're not a part of that person. So it's really tricky
Complicated.
stuff.
Very, very complicated. So how,
It is.
yeah, how do you think AI then has helped you with your client relationships? Has it made a difference?
It's helping tremendously, especially when it comes to my hypnotherapy scripts or EFT scripts, or when I'm wanting to create more personalized tasking for my clients week to week. Because standard is no good. Just having the same old and giving it to everybody is no good. So I always used to create everything by hand, and that took hours, and it took a lot of time rejigging and jigging and rejigging, and I didn't always get the results I wanted. So when AI came along and I started to explore with that, um, I started to find that that was much easier because I could tell it the parameters I wanted, tell it what I didn't want, and then it would give me an outline, something I could flesh out and make better. And then with the advent of your agents, that's game changer because it's made it so much more personal, so much more engaging, and gone much deeper than chat did on its own.
Let's have a look at Debbie then. I named her Debbie after Debbie, of course. She even looks like Debbie. Almost, almost,
Almost.
almost. Okay, so for those who are listening who don't know what an AI agent is, so I'm using ChatGPT as my platform of choice. And within inside ChatGPT, you can create GPTs. And I call them agents because they can do a lot. You can give them information and then they can give you customized output. So the agent that Debbie is sharing is one called HypnoScriptPro. And we created her to solve a specific problem, which, as Debbie said, was to help to write hypnosis scripts. And here she is. She looks very simple on at the front end, but she's actually quite uh, complex. And I think from listening to you in the past, Debbie, what you were saying was that you could mix modalities, which you weren't necessarily, which would be trickier to do
Yes.
because yeah, it's how you bridge it, isn't it? It's how you bridge one modality into the other, whereas this does it seamlessly. So how do you use it?
So basically what I do is I would normally upload a document here, and that document is a summary of my meeting with my client with redacted information. Um, so there's nothing personal in there. It's all just the findings, the learnings, um, the things that are still missing, and how I focus on that to make change. So then I'd upload that here. And alongside that, I often upload another little document just to say, please ensure it's in British English, punctuation and grammar. Please don't put any M dashes. I hate M dashes.
Oh,
I
so
don't
do
know
I.
what it is. They
And
drive me nuts.
I don't know. I've had so many conversations with it saying, "Can you remove them?" And I think that the thing about that is as well. If, I don't know about you, but if I notice anyone's copy with those in, I won't read it.
Yeah, man, me too. I
Read it.
really can't bear it.
Yeah,
Sometimes, depending on what it is, if I'm wanting to give something to a client and I'm wanting them to be a little bit more impacted, then say if it's an EFT script, sometimes I'll ask it to put in appropriate icons
yeah,
because that's just something that draws clients' eye to what's going on. Most times I don't, but when I'm creating things, I will ask it to use appropriate icons if I want to for anything that's external. So I would say here that I want the hypnosis script to be for approximately 30 minutes, and it needs an induction, a deepener. So that would be the steps that are used in the hypnosis, the body of the hypnosis itself, and then clothes that would bring them out of the hypnosis. And then it would create. So let's just do a simple one here. And this is lovely because when I first started using this was how I was using it, because I was obviously wanting to learn how its capabilities were going to work.
Yeah.
So primary goal of the session, let's say, is going to be, oops, can't spell to save my life today. Confidence building is the primary goal. And should be 30 minutes. I would like it to be motivational. Well, it's confidence building, isn't it? So we'll go for motivational. And I want it to be a progressive induction. So that means a faster induction. Rapid and progressive, both similar. Whoops. I'm really not doing well with my typing today.
I can't type and speak. I don't know about you,
I
but
know. I can normally, but today is Monday morning. Today I can't. So specific techniques. So I want it to be NLP based, and I want it to be mindful and specific. Please always use British. Comes to something when I can't even spell English.
That's the right. ChatGPT will sort it out.
I know. I have a thing about making sure I can see it right. And grammar. No M dashes. And then just press go. And there is the script being created. And then when I read through, I can then see what needs to be tweaked, what needs to be lengthened, what needs to be changed. Now something I forgot. When I was taught to do induction, we didn't use 4. Just what I was taught, but of course there's a 4 in there. So I will go back in a moment and ask it to remember for inductions that I know I don't use a 4.
Yeah.
That's in my notes that I use.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Wow. And what I mean, this is just an example. What's nice, as you said, if you working with a client and you redact the personal information and take that out, and then it can match the sentiment of their experience. That's quite unique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because the notes, I use an AI note taker because I used to write 8, 10 A4 sheets through working with my clients. And then that also would take time to bring everything together. But I use the AI note taker now, and it makes such a massive difference because it brings everything together. It brings the tone, it brings everything I need. So I can redact from that and then put that straight into this. So everything that I need is all in one place.
Yeah.
And that is that is a massive boom. So between the two things makes a lot of difference now. For some reason, this appears to have frozen.
I don't think it's you. I think there's a problem with ChatGPT at the moment. It seems to be freezing a lot.
Yeah, because this has gone grayed out, so I can't actually get into it. But you can see here there's the introduction. So, you know, this would be how you're building the rapport with your client. This is
Yeah.
how you engage with the client, and you're actually showing them that you've been listening to what they're saying and what you're creating for them. Then you've got your induction. So this is the first part of the hypnosis where you're actually taking them into that relaxed place. Then you've got the deepener, which takes them. So if you've had a hypnosis session, the deepener is, you know, you've come to a set of stairs and you're now taking the step down and the step down and the step down, and you're talked down in the numbers. So that takes you deeper into the relaxation.
Mm.
Then there are the confidence boosting suggestions. So this is where you bring imagery in. Imagine that you are standing tall, shoulders back, breathing deeply. So it's how you build the picture. And of course, I can't show you anymore because it won't allow me to. Oh, there we go.
It's
It suddenly
strange.
popped up.
Yeah, it I think it's to do with the update that's happened. It's just gone really sticky.
Yes. So then you come to the anchoring techniques it's talked about. So this is using an anchoring technique where you give them something positive, like, you know, pressing the thumb and the forefinger together and anchoring onto that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Uh, Mindfulness integration, bringing your awareness back to the present moment. Notice the feeling of relaxation in your body. This is about engaging with the physical feelings of your body. And then emergence from the hypnosis. And I often actually, I don't like the closing remarks because I close very differently. So I tend to leave them out because
yeah.
they don't mean anything. I've asked it to leave the closing remarks out, but it doesn't like to do that. It likes to have a mind of its own. So I just let it do its thing, you know. So what I do tend to do is I create my own style of closing remark. And but
It's
you know
what
that
makes it unique and individual to the person, doesn't it? Rather than going with something that is just popped on the end. But I think what's
yeah,
nice about this is it's got the full flow. It's got all of the stages that it needs to have, and is
yes.
very much on point. Other than the closing remarks, of course, you're gonna. The beauty is that you can just adapt and change it now. Whereas
Well, you
before,
know, now that I have this, what I would do then is I would actually look at each section and first of all read the whole thing through, see how it flows, see what's going on. But then I would look at each section. I would say, actually, I want to do X, X, and X with the induction.
mm,
And then I would, you know, I would ask it to do that, following into the deepening, blah, 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 and tell it exactly how I want the deepening to go. But the nice thing about this is, in the world of hypnotherapy, we've got quite a few very accomplished hypnotherapists who've been practicing for some years or
yeah,
who have risen very high in the community because they have really wonderful techniques that they use.
yeah,
So I could ask it to work in the style of um, you know, Freddie Jacquin, who does very rapid inductions and
yeah,
rapid deepening, you know, and he's a bit flamboyant, but there's also a lovely flow to it.
right,
So I could ask it to create that, but in my words,
yeah,
in his style, you know, again, Elman and all of these other techniques that are the original techniques that we were all taught, we can ask it to create scripts in those techniques. So
brilliant.
it will go and find, oh yes, I know about so and so, I'll bring that into the script. So you can really fine tune your scripts.
That's awesome.
And what I love about that is I'm now not stuck in one script,
Yeah, nice.
you know, because it's allowed me to build my confidence in how I bring a different element to my voice for my clients.
Yeah, because ultimately it's about putting your client at the heart of the business, isn't it? It's about,
Absolutely.
access
Yeah,
to,
and the thing is, they're all different, so they don't all react in the same way to
yeah,
certain scripts. And you know, when I was trained, I had two, three main scripts that I was trained with, and you become very comfortable using the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah,
And unless unless you have the time, the energy, or the inclination to step outside of that and really explore, it's actually quite hard to come away from something that works,
yeah,
and you feel a little bit unsure about, well, if I create this, is it going to work? So then you're doubting yourself.
yeah,
We all do. It's a human thing.
yeah,
We all doubt ourselves. So actually having that ability to bring, I really like how so and so works. Can we please bring an element of their work into my script? It
yeah.
means that every single client gets completely unique scripts instead
Wonderful.
of the same old, same old.
Yeah. I
And so
remember,
I feel more confident when I'm delivering,
yeah.
and actually my clients are getting much better results.
I remember you were saying after I'd first created this, you said that you tried it with a client and you said that, you could just see the significant impact it had
Yeah,
made because you were able to not just honing on one point, but you could bring it together,
yeah,
from several different points rather than just one.
yeah. And it just, I was super relaxed using it. My client went in much faster, had a much more powerful experience, and just came out going, gosh, wow, and that was lovely. And then another client I was working with in that same week, um, I was able to actually tweak the script as we were talking, as she was telling
Wow.
me how her week had been. So although I'd pre-prepared so that I had where I was aiming to go, I was able to go back in and just tweak it then and there,
Wow.
and then have the script up on the screen ready to go.
That's
And
amazing.
that was even better. I mean, it was one of the most powerful sessions she and I have had.
Wow.
And the the more I build it, it's I just feel more excited about my scripts now. They're more special.
Yeah.
They're more creative for
Yeah.
my clients' needs. And it makes a massive difference.
Sorry, Debbie. Yeah,
Keep
I
talking
mean
about
that's quite powerful, isn't it? So it's the deeper connection with the client, so you can help them to get better results. The time
mm,
it saves, which is significant, and also it's just bringing all your training and all your expertise together into like a solid piece of work that you can do quite quickly, which I really like.
yeah. And it's actually allowing me the freedom to be more creative with what I do for my clients.
Yeah,
You know, the more creative, the less stale.
yeah, yeah,
And that's really important to me. I was
yeah,
feeling a bit sort of stuck in the same old, because there were so many things going on in my world, personally and business wise, that sitting and writing scripts was becoming a bit tricky.
yeah.
And finding this and you building, this in my image, um, I'll show the glasses. Look, you see, these are the glasses that inspired the green glasses. So it's it's actually given me another boost as well. It's just, oh, that got named after me. And I really wasn't expecting it. It's not just, I'm not saying that I really wasn't expecting that. That was such a big sort of oh, that feels
Oh,
good.
you need to take ownership of it. I should have put a phoenix in it. I didn't think. I was too focused. I was too busy thinking about you and your red hair.
Oh, oh, there
Debbie,
we go.
yeah, what would you say to someone who's, reluctant to actually use AI in their business? They're a bit sort of like uncertain.
Well, when AI first came out, before I met you and I was using I hadn't really thought about how it was working. Just, well, if I put this and this in, it's going to do what I want. And I wasn't 100% happy with it, but I knew nothing else. And then when you came along and we did that training on program writing, I suddenly realized that I could do everything within AI from my own stuff completely, without ever having to really explore the external world. And I just thought, hang on a minute, I've got X amount of years of testimonials. Clients have been saying this, this, and this. I can redact the whole lot and I can reuse that for so many different things.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been so powerful. That in itself was such a big shift to how I can make this more personalized. Because when I was first using chat, and it's absolutely the same for all of us when we first use chat, we don't really know what we're doing. We don't really know how we're doing. And we think it's okay, but we want it to be more personal, but we don't know how. But since we can put documents in, that's brilliant, because I've got loads of bits and pieces that I use now that I can just, oh, well, I want to put my work on forgiveness in there. I can bring that into it. I want to put my work on anger in there. I can put that into it. So I can bring different elements to things to create. And I use the redacted testimonials. I use other redacted documentation that I've created personally. And it just brings an element of my voice into play now, especially with the agents, because the agents are learning who I am and becoming me. So they're my right-hand person.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, because when you're sat here in your little office all on your own, or you go out to that little office all on your own to work, it can be quite isolating. Whereas, you talk to Lucas every day and you say, right, Lucas, I need you to do this, this, and this for me. And yeah, that's so nice, because you've got someone almost to bat things backwards and forwards with. No, I'm not quite sure about that. What can you do to make that better for me?
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
awesome.
powerful. So it's
Yeah.
been a real shift from just plugging everything in and just hoping for the best to actually being actively involved as a working partner. Makes a massive difference.
Yeah. That's awesome. How must stop saying that. That's awesome. It's awesome. See if you can put the light for me, please. It's getting a bit dark. I'm sitting here in the dark. I don't know if you've noticed. I was like
I
getting
did,
dark.
yes. I
Getting dark.
noticed the light had suddenly
The
vanished.
mosquitoes are coming out. I've started hitting myself. Oh God, that's better. I can see now. Um, what was I going to say? Debbie, how can people get hold of you?
So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn as well. Not as prolific at the moment on LinkedIn. Very, very busy with Facebook and Instagram at the moment. I offer free consultations. So the links are on Instagram and Facebook. And I also have my training programs that are happening this year. So the first is a one-day breakthrough workshop, and that is actually learning to understand the grief that we carry and how it impacts our lives, how it impacts us and our lives, and what you can do to make changes. And then that steps into a 5-day grief training, and then into my NLP hypnotherapy training
Brilliant.
programs.
What name do they look for on Facebook and Instagram?
Well, they can either look for my name, Debbie Richins, and that'll bring me up, but the relationship phoenix always helps as well. So Debbie Richins, the relationship phoenix.
Yeah. So is any final words, any putting you on the spot, any final words of wisdom, anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
I would say if you're really not sure what to do with AI and you're really not sure how to use it so that it's effective and congruent with your business, go and have that chat with Wendy and actually explore it and play with it. Have a free session and learn how it works and how it would work for you. Because Debbie, the hypnosis script that writer, has made a massive difference for me. And having worked with Wendy previously, I had faith enough that, this was particularly tailored to my needs. When I opened it up and asked it what its capabilities were, I was quite blown away when it told me it actually covered over 30 modalities. And I sat there with my jaw on the floor and went, really? And then, stupidly, I came back to you and said, did you know? And of course, of course I did. I wrote it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course you did. But I wasn't expecting that, because, and this is the thing about all the agents, their capability is so much more than the outline.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
it's like having a group of people at your beck and call that you're not having to pay extra for. And when you're building a business or you're rebuilding for whatever the reasons are, that's hugely powerful. And I'm becoming more organized and it's really helping me to put things together. So I encourage you to go and explore, learn
Uh,
how to use your voice in a powerful way.
it's funny. Someone said to me the other day, can't you just clone an agent? I thought, but I instantly said no, because for me, it's an exchange of energy. It's an exchange of, I know who Debbie is, so I'm going to create as I think Debbie would like, or who Debbie is, or, so something that energetic connection. So I just said no. Of course, you can clone agents, but I just think they're so unique to when you're going through the process of creating them that
Mhm.
it's a mistake to clone them if you're coming at it from a person-centered connection, an energetic person-centered connection. And
Yes.
some people will think I'm mad because they're Wendy. It's like it's a machine. What are you talking about? But we both know that if you create it in that way, the output is far superior. It's much
Yeah.
better. It's much more empathetic. It's much more on point.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So I don't clone any of them and then redo it that way because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to the way I create, which is
No,
I'd save myself a lot of time if I didn't do it that way. But Debbie, thank you so much for your time today.
thank you.